The small, micro, independent brand Zelos make very high quality watches, and today we're taking a look at their Gata watch. This is their go anywhere, do anything watch that gets a little bit dressed up with a moon phase. It gets a very rare movement that is not seen very often in a lot of watches. It's made by Sellita, however this is hand wound, and it gets a very large moon phase, and it's usually used in smaller watches, so you get a very large moon phase on a watch that comes in at around 38 millimeters. So let's flip the camera and take a look at Zelos's latest release, the Helica moon phase. So as always, another exciting watch from Zelos. They come out with something on a pretty regular basis. They come out with watches maybe every, I would say around 3 to 4 months, something like that. And they make maybe 300 of each watch. Sometimes they make a little bit more, sometimes they make a little bit less. On average, I think that's what they're making right now. This is their go anywhere, do anything watch. This was technically going to be their last release of 2025, I believe, and then it got pushed out and now is the first release of 2026 from the brand. This is stainless steel, it is a moon phase, and it is hand wound. You're getting a Swiss movement inside that is a Sellita SW288. And that means that this is a moon phase, and that moon phase is very large. As you can see, at the 12 o'clock, there's a little window there. That's aventurine. So the bottom layer of this dial is essentially the moon phase disc. That is an aventurine disc with 2 moons on it that are lumed. And then there is a smoked area right over here that is sort of shrouding the other area that you're not supposed to be seeing of that moon phase. So the bottom portion of that disc at the top is where the moon phase is displayed. But you can see through it, and I believe, and we're going to check this out towards the end of the video, that it will lume as well. So if you have this in direct sunlight and you go into a dark room, you're going to see both moons. However, the moon phase is going to be red at the top. Also, you are getting global light on this dial. That means you're getting very bright lume on here. So the indices are made out of global light. And then, of course, the hands are lumed. You have Zelos hands. That's how I describe these. They always put very nice hands on their watches. The designs here that they go for are pretty unique, and they don't just stop at the cases, the dials, and things like that. They go through every component of the watch. So they put some pretty unique hands on their watches, and those are lumed as well. They are polished, they are segmented, and partially skeletonized. Most of the dial is aventurine. So you have an aventurine disc, that's where those indices are sitting on. And then of course you have that moon phase towards the center. That is the layering of the dial. However, above all that, you have a minute track that's in silver. There is a 60-minute track on there. There is another track on the dial that is in the middle of that aventurine disc. And I would imagine that is the seconds track. Something they didn't need to do, they didn't need to put that on the dial. I kind of like what they did here because there are these concentric circles starting with that minute track, and then you have that seconds track, and then you have that moon phase, so which is again a circle. Really cool what they did here. I like the design. You get a very high boxed sapphire crystal on the front. You have a sapphire crystal on the back so you can see the movement. And there's one other part about this watch which I think is really cool, but I'll talk about that in a second. It has to do with the bracelet. The bracelets on these watches are always really good. The movement on here is pretty good looking. Obviously, it's a hand wound movement. It looks like a Sellita SW200. You wouldn't know by looking at it from the back that this has a moon phase, but there you go. And it's a generally good looking watch. You have a screwed-in case back with sapphire crystal, 100 meters of water resistance. The bracelet on here is fantastic. So it's a multi-link bracelet. It does taper. You have screwed links, quick release, solid end links, all the things that you would expect from Zelos. However, it's the clasp. Now, this is the first time I have encountered this from Zelos, but they have now put a button on the outside of the clasp for adjustment of the micro adjust, and that is phenomenal. And it is extremely smooth. So like I said, this is the first time I've seen it. I'm not sure if they've put this on other watches, but it changes the game here. This is a big deal. There are very few brands that currently do this. One of them is Atelier Wen, and those are a lot more expensive. So when you're getting a micro adjust that you can adjust on wrist, on the fly, without having to take your watch off at all, that is amazing in both directions. So that is really the key there. It's in both directions. So you can make it bigger and smaller on wrist, on the fly, without even really having to look at it. That is incredible. So you're going to get ultimate wearability with this watch. This is basically a dress watch. I mean, it looks like a dress watch. It'll wear like a dress watch because it's only 11.5 millimeters thick. It's a 38.5 millimeter case, and then you have a 45 millimeter lug to lug. So this will wear like a dress watch. However, you do get 100 meters of water resistance with the screwed in crown and the screwed in case back. But adding that moon phase definitely dresses this watch up a lot, and I definitely think that this looks more like a dress watch than a sports watch. So that's why I think they're calling it a go anywhere, do anything, like an everyday watch. It makes a lot of sense because you can basically do a lot with this watch. You don't really need to take it off for almost anything unless you're going scuba diving or something like that. On my wrist today, I have Nevada Grenschen's latest release. This is their Antarctic Glacier dial. So it's a silvery white dial, and it's a very good looking watch. And I'll be dropping a review on this pretty soon. And there is the Helica Moon Phase on my 7.5 inch wrist. This is a 38.5 millimeter watch with a 45 millimeter lug to lug, 11.7 millimeter thickness. The bracelet there's a combination of brushing and polishing, but it looks a little bit flashy, just flashy enough. It's not incredibly flashy. The same thing goes for the case. The case has polishing and brushing, so the bezel is polished and brushed, the top is brushed, the sides are polished. The sides of the case are brushed, and there is a line of polish on the top of the case, a very thick line of polish. So just a really good looking watch for every day. I have a 7.5 inch wrist. You can see this wears really nicely on my 7.5 inch wrist. Let's do a Lume shot and talk about price. So as usual, the Lume definitely does not disappoint. It's very bright. The moon phases are very bright, and I was right. You can see that second moon underneath that smoked portion. You could basically see it as if it was not covered. It is pretty bright. There's a lot of lume applied to the moon itself. I think there is some globalite in the moon, and then the indices as well. Those are made out of globalite, so very bright. There's lume on the hands. Those are very liberally applied with lume. There's lume on the second hand so that you can see your watch is working in the dark. This is a great watch. I think it's very good looking, and of course, Zelos make really well-made watches. This feels really nice, very premium in hand, and the price isn't all that bad. For this watch, it is $949. If you want the Meteorite version, I think it's the same price. And then there is a Mosaic Mother of Pearl dial as well. All of them have a combination with aventurine. So this is aventurine on aventurine. The other ones are like meteorite on aventurine, because that aventurine disc is the moon phase, and they all have an aventurine moon phase. So you're getting a combination of aventurine and another material. So very cool, really good looking watches. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. Tell me what you think of this watch. Tell me what you think of Zelos. I want to hear from you guys. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It's super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. Thank you for watching this video. I will catch you guys in the next video.